drive to being exciting and fun, putting them in the mainstream. I mean, I remember when I first drove a Tesla Model S back in 2012 or
Bodies collapsed on factory floors, machines still running while workers lie motionless. Inside Giga Texas, two men barely able to stand after a 16-hour shift became the breaking point. Leaked footage spread like wildfire, and within hours, Tesla's most powerful plants were paralyzed, locked down by the very people who built them. If this is how one of the world's most advanced companies treats its workers, what does that say about everything we don't see?
Well, I mean, it's definitely changed, right? Since Musk acquired Twitter at the end of October,
You won't believe what's coming out of Tesla's factories right now. This isn't a glitch in production or a delay in delivery. This is workers walking out mid-shift, assembly lines grinding to a halt, and chaos building at some of the company's biggest plants across the world. It all started with a single video leaked from inside Giga Texas that's been making the rounds on TikTok, Reddit, and even in mainstream news cycles. In this clip, you see two workers collapsed on the floor, barely conscious after reportedly pushing through a brutal 16-hour shift. They weren't being helped. No medics were rushing in, no supervisors checking in on them, just bodies crumpled on the cold floor like they didn't even matter. The footage showed more than just exhaustion. There were clear signs that the facility itself was falling apart. Broken ventilation systems, people working in what looked like suffocating heat, and no basic safety equipment in sight. No masks, zero eye protection, and even worse, the supervisors could be heard telling others to push through the discomfort. Like, this kind of suffering was just part of the job. That's what really broke people. Not just the exhaustion, but the feeling that no one in charge really cared.
Well, a dozen people showed up hoping their presence outside this North Austin Tesla store would turn people away from the business. A line of protesters cheer on vehicles, honking in support.
Oh right, and here's the kicker. Tesla's own internal moderation system flagged that video. That means someone at the top knew it existed. They saw it, and yet nothing changed. That was the final straw. Workers didn't just quit. They organized. They took the risk of being fired, blacklisted, hell, maybe even sued, and walked right off the job. Not just in Texas, in Fremont, Cali too, as well as Berlin, Germany. This was coordinated. This was loud. In Fremont, employees stopped what they were doing mid-shift and started forming barricades at the loading docks. Trucks couldn't even leave. Shipment sat still. You could see rows of workers blocking the gates like a human shield, arms crossed, tired, but fired up. In Austin, chants of "shut it down" echoed through the factory floors as dozens stood in front of the gates demanding someone from management to speak up. Meanwhile, in Berlin, it got even more intense. Authorities were called in, and Tesla had to shut down part of the operations just to keep things from getting worse. These weren't just angry employees. This was a full-on worker uprising. They say this isn't even about money or perks. This is about safety. It's about being seen, about not having to crawl to your car after a double shift because your body can't keep up with the machines. Workers are done being treated like disposable parts in a billion-dollar system. They're not asking, they're forcing change. And if Tesla doesn't start listening soon, well, this might just be the beginning of something even bigger.
Store off Pond Springs Road in North Austin.
We want people to think twice, thrice, and 4 times before they buy a Tesla because they're going to see this every time they go to a Tesla showroom.
They want people to sell their Teslas, dump Tesla stock, and join them.
This whole thing at Tesla isn't just about paychecks or longer lunch breaks. The workers walking out are saying it's about something way more serious, and that's survival. That's the word they're using, not job satisfaction, not company culture, survival. And when people start throwing around words just like that, it means something has gone really, really wrong. The message coming from the factory floors is loud and raw. Workers say they're not being treated like human beings anymore. It's like they've become part of these machines, expected to move, perform, and produce without stopping, no matter how they feel or what condition they're in. One worker even described it just like this: "We're treated like extensions of the assembly line here. Not people, just tools that don't get tired." That says a lot about how deep this goes. And it's not just about being overworked either. Injuries are being ignored. That's one of the biggest complaints. People are collapsing from exhaustion, slipping on greasy floors, getting burns, cuts, back injuries, you name it, and no one is coming to help. There's no proper medical response team on standby either. Some employees said they're just about to walk it off or finish their shift anyway. It's like the safety protocols you'd expect in any normal workplace don't even apply here. And if you complain, well, that's when things get dangerous. Workers say the fear of speaking up is almost worse than physical stress. They know if they make too much noise, they'll be replaced. Not just written up, straight up replaced. No matter how long they've been with this company, no matter how much they've done for them, that kind of fear changes how people move, talk, hell, even breathe at work. It creates a place where everybody keeps their heads down and just tries to survive the day.
With people vandalizing, trash talking, and burning the car brand, and especially the CEO, Elon Musk.
The company that helped make Musk the wealthiest person in the world, now a target.
The shifts are pushing people past their limits too. Multiple employees said they've been forced to work 12 to 16 hours straight, sometimes even back-to-back days without any proper rest. Not only is that illegal in most cases, it's incredibly unsafe. No one can focus for that long without sleep. Mistakes happen, machines get misused, accidents are inevitable, and yet people are expected to keep going like they're robots. To make things worse, workers say the air inside the factories is stale and sometimes hard to breathe. They're not even given proper masks or eye protection, even when working with dangerous chemicals or around heavy dust. The ventilation systems are failing and nobody is fixing them. One person described it as trying to breathe through a hotel towel for hours. Can you imagine doing physical labor in those conditions? So no, this protest isn't about wanting more perks. It's about basic human rights that most people take for granted. Clean air, medical help, being able to stop and rest without risking your job. These workers aren't looking for luxuries. They just want to feel safe. They want to know that if they get hurt, someone will care. And until that happens, the protests aren't going anywhere.
People are getting a little bit more physical by graffitiing cars, burning down Tesla charging stations, and even destroying entire dealerships. And look, some might say that vandalism and property destruction are bad.
The moment those videos from inside the Tesla factories hit the internet, it was like lighting a match in a room full of gas. Social media exploded. People didn't just react. They rallied, argued, and reshared like wildfire. Within just a few hours, platforms like Reddit and TikTok were flooded with clips of workers collapsing on the floor, walking off assembly lines, and blocking truck exits. And the captions weren't subtle. Some users called it modern-day factory slavery, and thousands of comments echoed the same outrage. You didn't have to scroll far to see how deeply this hits people. Some were furious, others were heartbroken, and many were shocked. Not because they didn't expect intense working conditions at a company like Tesla, but because they didn't expect them to be this bad, or well, this well documented. It's one thing to hear rumors, it's another to actually see the footage of someone crumpled onto the floor after working a 16-hour shift, barely able to breathe. Within hours, hashtags like Tesla Lockdown, Justice for Tesla Workers, and Elon Exposed were trending. Some users started threads demanding a full-scale investigation into Tesla's labor practices. Others shared their own stories of working at Tesla, adding even more fuel to the fire. Suddenly, what started as one leaked video became a storm of voices all saying the same thing: something is seriously wrong inside those factories. And people weren't just talking, they were organizing. Activists, labor unions, and even a few public figures jumped in. Some called on government agencies to look into Tesla's safety violations. Others pressured the media to keep the story alive and let it fade out after a few days of online outrage. It was no longer just an internet moment. It was turning into a whole movement. What stood out most, though, was how united the response felt. Whether people were longtime Tesla fans or critics, the footage struck a nerve. It forced everyone to ask a tough question. If this is how the company treats the people building its product, what does this say about its values? Even people who normally defend Mr. Elon Musk and the Tesla brand seem very conflicted. Some tried to downplay the situation, but even then, you could tell they were shaken. Because this wasn't just a bad workday or a few angry employees. This was something deeper, something broken. And the internet? Well, it isn't letting go of the story anytime soon. Every new clip, every statement from workers, and every update from inside the factories only keeps this fire burning. People want answers. They want accountability. They're not going to stop talking until they get both. So what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.